Vertigo's last big update is kind of good and kind of bad, and I want to go and explain what is good and bad about what they did to the A site. They opened up lobby and they added this catwalk all the way down to sandbags on A, and I just want to talk about how this is good and also bad, and I just want to break it down for you guys so you can understand why this change is very impactful for the map of Vertigo. I know a lot of people did complain about it, but we can also look at the positives of this. But before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and check out the sponsor of this video, Skins Monkey.
Skins Monkey is a CS2 skins trading site and marketplace that provides an instant way to get new skins. My favorite thing about Skins Monkey is that I can trade skins that I no longer want and trade it for a skin that is equal value. If you use code LouisCS2, you get a $5 bonus on your first trade. If you want to buy skins, you can get a 30% deposit bonus plus an extra 5% using my code. The link is down in the description.
So let's talk about one of the most important things that they changed. They opened up lobby. Now this is a good and bad change. And one of the bad changes is that the T's are going to have to use an extra smoke to obviously execute a site if they want to come up through side hall, which is obviously what you want to do when you are going up A. Because now that when you come up ramp, obviously they can come from so many different angles that side hall is actually a very important place to come from, especially with this new catwalk position. That also means that when you're executing A, you pretty much need 2 smokes like you usually did, or if you want to smoke this off, you could use 3, or if you're going to use 2 smokes, you're going to need 2 mollies because you have to molly a headshot, then you're going to have to probably molly the catwalk, which makes it very, very difficult because if someone wants to come here and hold this, they can definitely do that, but this is also a pretty common position to sit in a post plant as a T, so chances are you're going to get naded or mollied and just pretty much hard cleared off knowing that you are holding that. So just this opening up makes it really, really hard. But if you don't smoke this off, it's very important to note that the CTs can pretty much just rotate instantly to a site. Now, obviously, you're not instantly rotating to a site, but if you have all of this vision, your players on the A site don't really need to watch this run up, and they can just sit here and fight ramp and not worry about getting swung here like we did in old Vertigo. Because usually when people would, kind of run up A, coming from side on ramp, you'd come here and tuck in elevator to make sure you're not exposed to both angles. But now, since this has opened up, any of the mid or B players, I know it's very common to double B sometimes if, the mid player's up towards Guardian or boost, whatever you want to call it. They can literally just come down here and just hold your side hall, and the CT guys don't really have to worry about it, which makes it very important to throw, the new smoke where it lands up here. So you guys can definitely take this. And one of the most crazy things about this change is that if you do decide to smoke this, chances are CTs can drop nades and spawn, which again is very meta, and they can just constantly nade this smoke open and pretty much just kill you crossing, which I think is very, very OP, and it's definitely not a good change. With Valve making this change to Vertigo, I do think opening this up is very CT-sided, just because it makes it so fast to rotate, especially like the mid player would usually play here in lobby to spot mid for a lot of the times, or he would sit here and listen. It just makes his rotate even faster to help, because he can just come here and start throwing nades just so easily by, dropping nades here, or even if he wants to drop them in spawn. His rotate's just so fast, and it's definitely a little bit OP as a CT, and I'm not sure what they could do to fix this, but as a T-sided player, it definitely does hurt, because when you are coming up to A site, you have to use so much more util. You have to smoke off lobby, then you have to smoke off, left side site, you have to molly headshot, and then when you come, you have to clear all these angles, which you could just be exposed to. And you could also have players sitting behind these pillars, which I've seen a lot on eco rounds actually, where players are just sitting behind here and getting flashes, and they can just keep peeking and fighting with as many flashes as they need from people rotating in. So it's definitely a little overpowered, I think. And I don't think there's really much balance at all as a T, because the amount of util that you actually have to use, and then it can literally just get countered by nades dropping in spawn. Because most of the time on Vertigo, especially if you're an A-site player, you definitely have double flash, even if you're the rotator, because there's really no need for a nade. Unless you're someone that's like a B player who wants to nade, maybe bottom B, or you're a mid player trying to punish someone that's lurking up with like a nade like this. There's always going to be extra nades down, especially in the pro scene that they're dropping, so this rotator can help out with these smokes. Now, one thing I do want to talk about as a T that's actually very important is holding your smokes just to be able to execute the A site. Now, in old Vertigo, you obviously could just, get away with pretty much just smoking the right side site, or in CS2, I know people were smoking something like this in the middle, where it was covering both, so you really only needed one smoke. But now that there is this change where lobby is opened up, let's say the B player wants to take bottom B and he wastes a smoke, smoke, and then maybe you start the round on A by, maybe you're throwing a nice little lurk smoke. That's already 2 smokes gone, and now you have 3 left over. So you really have to be conservative with the nades that you're using, especially with mollies. If you want to molly off the ramp at the start, you have your B player that's obviously mollying off danger. Maybe you have 2 there, and you also molly off quad, and now you only have 2 mollies left. So just being able to keep your nades on T-side Vertigo is very important. Kind of like that change since the T's obviously can't really do that much, but it also kind of shows that this map is definitely CT sided because the T's can't really take control of anything unless they heavily commit. So if you hear all these flashes, maybe a lurk smoke here, it's obviously just going to be A because they're going to come here and line up their lobby smokes and their right side and left side smokes, and it's just going to be just an obvious story and plan that the T's are developing. And obviously the CTs can just counter it by blowing up these nades. They can rotate super fast just literally because lobby's so open, and they have all this vision where it makes it really hard for the T's to actually get to sight. Now obviously if you're playing a Pug or Premier, it's probably not on that same level. You can probably just run up and do whatever. But the one thing that is very important and why you need to keep utility, even if you have 3 smokes left, is that you have to keep re-smoking something. And what I think is very challenging is, players deciding or teams if they want to re-smoke lobby again to hold side hall so they can fight from this side of sight, knowing they can get swung from obviously coming from this way or the catwalk, or maybe they want to re-smoke this left side here and maybe phase into taking lobby, knowing that there's probably 2 CTs in there just waiting for them. But I think that's what's really important to know is how CT sided this map is, because T's are really going to struggle on these post plants, especially on the A site. Obviously B site hasn't changed at all. You have your nice base setups where you can have someone like default and someone's like on Jin picking up contact, yada yada yada. But this is what's very difficult, and I don't think we're going to see a lot of teams trying to end towards the A site, especially once we see Vertigo being played out more. We're going to see how CT sided this map really is. You can just tell where the T's are going since they have to pretty much just preserve all their utility, and then also the post plant as a T on the A site. But that's all I have for you guys today, talking about Vertigo, the goods and bads, and that's my own personal opinion. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.